friends, and welcome to Get Comfy with Laura, the podcast where we dive into getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. I'm your host, Laura Cardona, the Buena Vida life coach, emotional wizard, personal cheerleader, healing homie, breakthrough queen, and your support in shaping a Buena Vida. If you're ready for more than just listening, I've got all kinds of juicy goodies over at my website, buenavida.life, or come say hi on all the socials at Buena Vida Life Coach. Quick note for new listeners, because your time matters, I've trimmed the long hellos and intros so we can jump straight into the good stuff. Of course, all of our guest info, bio, links are in the show notes at the end of the episode and all over social media, so you won't miss a thing. All right, y'all, let's go get comfy with the uncomfy.
Get comfy with the uncomfy. Don't hide it. I feel it. El camino es crecer. I rise again. Get comfy with the uncomfy. That's where I find me.
Something a lot of us have in common that makes us very uncomfortable to talk about is money. Yes, money. That's what we're talking about today. How often have you said, I'm not good with money? How often have you heard your friend, your parents, all the people around you say, no, we're not good with money. We don't know. We don't know anything about that. We don't know about investing. We don't know about this, right? Whether it's budgeting, savings, investing, talking about financial goals, having a financial goal, money can feel like such a heavy topic. But here's the thing. Getting comfortable with our finances, getting comfortable with our dinero, our money, what comes in, what goes out, knowing our numbers, it can open up doors to a freedom, to an awareness, to peace, to empowerment. It's really something. So today I'm very excited to have Rita-Soledad Fernández from Para Todos. She is all about this. She's going to help us get aligned, help us get empowered, and help us get comfortable. Let's get into it. In your work and in your experiences, what does not having a healthy relationship with money look like?
Oh, I knew this was going to be a good interview. I knew it. I'm loving this already. It's such a good question. Yeah, I think it comes in different forms. I think one, it's being afraid to spend your money and not seeing money as a tool to nurture your joy and your wellness. And when we grow up without family members who've had the ability to spend money to nurture their joy because they were just using money to survive, then it can feel so scary, uncomfortable, and even wasteful to decide to use money as a tool to support your joy. So that's like red flag to me, number one.
And it's funny because that was one red flag you just mentioned. And that just in itself brought up 1,000 questions that I have, because what if we're in the same spot of trying to survive, right? And we're just like, yeah, but I can't be wasteful. What do you think the person is telling themselves? What have you heard they're saying to themselves?
I think I'd even start with my own journey, right? Like in 2019, I was sick on disability. I was collecting disability checks. I had to take a medical leave. And during that time, my husband also lost his job. And we're raising 2 kids in Los Angeles. And the only income that we had that was guaranteed was our disability income. And so that was the first time I actually ever created a budget. And during that time, my husband was like, I'm dealing with health issues. I'm being sent to different specialists, and the wait to be able to see a doctor when the insurance that I had at the time was like, it took me 2 visits to the emergency room to be able to just see my regular doctor. And then it took a month to be able to see a specialist, in which then they recommended me another few months. And so my husband was like, so just pay to see a doctor out of pocket. And I was like, but it's going to cost $1,000. And we had $7,000 saved at the time. And I was like, no, we can't. So there I was suffering, sick. And then finally, one of my friends was like, so why don't you work with my, I know this healer, work with this healer. He could do some body work on you. He's helped a lot of people. And to work with him was $150 for 1 hour. And I was like, $150? I can't. That's too much money. And it's that, right? It's like when you are dealing with the uncertainty of when money is going to come your way, when you don't know when you're going to be able to work again, it is so hard to use money as a tool to support your wellness. It really does put you in this survival mode. Gratefully, my husband was like, "Soul, just do one session with this healer. Just do one session." And I did the one session and I felt so much better. Now, mind you, this was after like 6 months and I felt instantly like not 100% better. I felt better. And he was like, I think you'd really benefit from weekly sessions. Like, weekly session, that's $600 a month.
Mm.
I can't. I can't. And my husband was like, "Soul, we can't have you continue to be this sick. We're relying on like family support to come and help with the kids a veces. Like, you need to get better." And so that was my first glimpse of like the importance of using money as a tool to support my wellness. I didn't even do like, I started off with just one session a month. And then eventually I increased it and increased it. And now, like, we have this version of me that has a proper autoimmune disorder diagnosis. It turns out I had celiac disease. And now, like, I
Mm.
look back at that year, I had spent $10,000 on co-payments. And now that was like reactive. Now I spend like $4,000 a year to work with a wellness coach. And it's proactive and it's less money and it's different, right? But so I get the struggle. I understand that. And it's hard. It's hard because when you are in that state of mind, and your body's feeling so unsafe and there's just so much uncertainty around you, it really does take someone telling you it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. You can spend this much money on yourself. Money will flow to you again. It's okay. And I think that's the hard thing, that a veces that we don't have that community around us. When I told my tia and my dad, like, "Hey, do you guys think I should pay $1,000 to see a doctor, out of pocket?" And they're like, "No, that's crazy." And so then I didn't listen, even though my husband was in my ear saying, like, "Do it, do it, do it." So it gets tricky because, a lot of times when we're dealing with scarcity, it's because we're in a community that's also dealing with scarcity.
Yeah, it's I've read this whole thing about a thriving pack or a surviving pack, right? So there's something it's when you're in a thriving pack, you're not thinking about that. You're thinking about thriving, but when you come from a survival pack, you're literally like, no, there's no room. There's nothing. Got to save that. That's for a little bit of hoarding. There's a whole. Let's not even get into hoarding, but there's a little bit of hoarding money, keeping
Mhm.
things. I mean, there's still touches of that. Where if I don't finish a bottle of medicine, I'll keep it because I don't know when the future. That was very expensive, that little bottle. So I'm gonna keep that in the closet and I'm gonna just save it there because you never know. I don't want to pay another $1,000 for those pills for whatever pain I'm going through. It's really something, that mentality to go from scarcity to abundant, which is, I mean, I feel like I'm skipping ahead here, but that leap, it's very uncomfortable. How do you start with getting comfortable with thinking about abundance?
Yeah. Well, I always tell people you're not bad with money, you're bad with self-care. And and with that, they're always like, "Wait, what?" The thing is that you're not engaging in enough self-care on a regular basis in a proactive way. You think of self-care as something that you do reactively. After like you've had a very stressful week, then you're like, "Okay, finally I deserve to take a little break. I deserve to go on this hike. I need to go on this vacation." And you do these lump sums versus choosing to be very proactive with your self-care on a daily basis. And when we get to that level where we're choosing to be proactive with our self-care, then we actually have the capacity to engage in some financial planning. The exhausted, overwhelmed, overstimulated brain can't engage in financial planning.
I am loving this and I feel like I just got it. Because at first I was like, what are you talking about? Rita-Soledad? Like, what are you talking about? And I just got it. Because that's the thing. I can't think about getting out of a hole when I'm in the hole. because I'm just in the hole, just trying to like keep my head above the ground, just doing that. So you're saying even when you're in the hole, there's some self-care that you have to take care of, because it's the only way that you can look at your finances. It's the only way that you can look at getting ahead. I love it so much. I understand it. Okay, let's talk some more about it.
Yeah, because just like there's a financial literacy gap, there's a self-care gap, literacy gap in our community, right? And so what I realized is that I needed to teach people what is self-care beyond what we're taught like in commercials, right? Because in commercials we're taught like, oh, get a massage,
The
get your
bubble baths.
nails done, get a bubble bath. And those can all be great forms of self-care. However, it's important to know that there's 7 types of self-care. And are you engaging in all 7 types? That's why I have that acronym D.I.V.E.R.S.E. D stands for dinero self-care. This is anything that you do to help increase your financial security. I has to do with your interpersonal self-care, anything that helps you nurture loving, positive relationships. V is vocational self-care. This is anything that helps you have boundaries with work that protect you from burnout. E is emotional self-care, anything that supports your mental health. R is restorative body self-care, anything that supports your physical health. S is for spiritual self-care, anything that allows you to trust and have a little faith that you don't have to have everything under control. And E is environmental self-care, and this is making sure that you live in a clutter-free, organized environment. And then when you engage in these 7 types of self-care, you know, daily is ideal, but no one's engaging in 7 types of self-care daily, but you're aiming for at least 4 of the 7, then you're going to find that you're feeling more grounded, more peaceful, more resilient, and then you have the capacity to also engage in other forms of self-care. I think another thing that people aren't aware of is that not all self-care is going to be instantly comforting. It's not going to be instantly pleasurable. Some self-care is growth-oriented. And we need it in order to actually expand our comfort zone. So for some people, like the idea of checking in with their budget or even creating a budget or, setting up a system, understanding their numbers well enough so that they could set up automatic transfers to savings and automatic payments, like that feels so tedious. And that is just a form of growth self-care, a growth dinero self-care. And con tiempo, it does feel less tedious and it starts to feel like, oh, this is, I've developed this habit. It's now a habit versus something I have to be so intentional about.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. And I got to tell you, there's a whole bunch of actual episodes that I've already recorded about environmental, about emotional. So all of this is about self-care, and I just love that you're connecting it with money. I mean, I think that's it. I think you nailed it. I think you did it. Congratulations. You fixed the problem for all of us. It's self-care, and you have the tools. They have it. I want people to say, okay, got it. Self-care it. What do I do? What is
Yeah.
that? How do I do it?
Yeah, so I would say first go to my website, wealthparatodos.com. Under the freebie section, you can take my module for free. The first module talks about the 7 types of self-care and the different types, growth oriented and comfort oriented. Okay, so that one's free. And you can learn just about the 7 types of self-care. Once you do that, I want you to audit. And I want you to see all the types of self-care that you're already engaging in. A lot of times people are like, 7 types of self-care, like how am I ever going to do that? And it's like, well, if you're somebody who doesn't currently eat 3 meals a day, then the idea of training for a marathon is going to feel very overwhelming. You have to meet yourself where you're at. I have a few in 2022, my restorative body self-care was eat 3 meals a day. I have ADHD and I would forget. I would have to write down, drink 3 water bottles. And I had to be so intentional about that. Wake up in the morning, have a protein shake. Don't go, 5 hours without eating. And so I had to write it down and I just had to be like, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And con tiempo, it became a habit and now it's part of my lifestyle. So, but at that time I had to meet myself where I was at. And so you want to audit, see, and acknowledge all the ways that you are engaging in self-care, right? And start to realize like, oh, you know what? Me going out to eat with my friends on Friday is a form of interpersonal self-care. Oh, okay, cool. That I already set up, that I pay my bills once a month. Although as a money and self-care coach, I want you like checking in with your finances weekly. But if you're there already monthly, hey, that is a form of dinero self-care. If you are love spending time outside and going on walks with your dog, being out in nature can be a form of spiritual self-care. And so acknowledging the practices that you already have, start there. And then you can start to play with like, okay, well, what is a way that I want to grow? How do I want to grow when it comes to my dinero? When it comes to boundaries at work, when it comes to my environment. And then once you reflect on, okay, how do I want to grow? Then you choose maximum 3 areas that you want to grow in. And I would say like 3 months, every 3 months, you reflect on it. I like to do I reflect every 3 months on the quarter about what like my self-care intentions are, and I just look at all the 7 types and I think, okay, what is it that I want? And I never have more than 3 growth oriented ones because it's just hard. For some people, you might need like only one. Just only choose one and have all the other ones just be comforting self-care that you need in your life. Then on the 1st and the 15th of each month, I just check in to say like, oh, how am I doing? How am I taking care of myself? What am I noticing? And you just learn about yourself. That's what I tell people. Like, ultimately, it's like you're choosing to come back to yourself repeatedly because you're not going to it's not about being consistent. It's about being persistent.
What I heard, what you were saying, what I loved is build a foundation. And I talk so much with my clients about building a foundation. What are the things that you need? For me, it's going outside, getting a little sun on my face, even if it's just a little bit on a busy day, just going out in the morning and, okay, hey birds, hey eucalyptus tree, okay, come back inside. Music, I have to have some music. Water, the normal things that we do, but just I connect with something from my past. I look at pictures from a trip that I took, or I'll text a quick friend, something like that, a touchstone to a memory, I realize feeds me. So these are small things. No me cuesta nada. Nothing. And there's a foundation there. That's where we always start. So that's what I heard from you. And I love that because when you start doing that, it gets you to a place where now you can look at your dinero. Okay,
Mhm.
so they've done this. They've done Diverse. They've taken all your modules. They've gone to your website. Now they get to a place where they're like, okay, talk to me. I want to make some more money. I want to raise my income. What do they do?
Yeah. And that's the thing, like making more money, increasing your financial security, like that. All you got to do is stay in a wealth building cycle. And a wealth building cycle consists of being aware of your money thoughts, knowing your numbers. That means like knowing your extra cash flow, knowing your interest rates, knowing your expense ratios for your retirement accounts, knowing the rate of return on your retirement accounts, right? So like thinking about all your how much money you owe, your credit score, that's knowing your numbers. Then there's developing your financial literacy because laws are always changing. The limits to how much you could contribute to a retirement account is always changing. Interest rates, understanding like how to maintain a good credit score, and also life, right? There's different times of your life where maybe you didn't need an FSA dependent care account because you didn't have kids, or you never needed to be, putting money aside, or even thought about having a HSA, spending account, because you couldn't afford to have a high insurance plan, right? So there's like developing your financial literacy, always learning. Maybe there's a version of you who was a renter and now you want to become a homeowner. There's all these things you're going to have to learn about these different stages of your life. So money thoughts, know your numbers, develop your financial literacy, and work on increasing your income. And increasing your income, that could be through your 9 to 5, through a promotion, or through, some entrepreneurship. But I always encourage people to think about ways to increase their income by at least 10% every single year. We want to increase our income more than inflation. So that is the wealth building cycle. And if you are doing those things, and like maybe you're working in one area, but you're doing it, then you're good. Con tiempo, you're going to continue to increase your financial security. If you're not doing that, it's probably because you're overwhelmed, you're exhausted, you're overstimulated, and you have to focus on, let me break it down back into little steps, into my diverse self care. Let me take it back to engaging at least 4 of the 7 types of self care. And then when you have the resilience and the capacity, you'll be back in the wealth building cycle.
You just solved all the problems. That's it. You just did all you did it. Thank you. Thank you for that. Let's talk about you. I read you had said the representation I wanted in the education world. You were a math teacher, right? Uh, I am now creating that representation in the financial world. How did you get comfortable in taking up that space and creating your own space?
I think it's back to what you said about choosing to be uncomfortable on a regular basis. I don't think I'm ever like 100% confident. I still always have my fears, my insecurities, my nervousness, but I just always tell myself, like, soul, are you willing to be nervous and scared so that more people can realize that dinero and financial security and financial independence is possible for them? And then I'm like, "Ugh, okay, I'll do it." And I just think like all of us in our hearts there's something in each of our hearts that we're pulled to, that is going to be challenging for us, but it's our way to contribute to the world. And for whatever reason, the universe wanted me to be like focused on getting everyone to max out retirement accounts. And that's in my heart. That's in my heart that I'm just like, no, we have to do better. We have to invest more. And when I get uncomfortable, I always like tell the story of when I've done some interviews like on NPR. The first time NPR reached out to me, I was full of like, no, no, you should go talk to someone else. And then they came to me a second time and I was like, okay. And then I was like very concise in my responses because I was so nervous. And then the third time I took up the entire episode and they were just only talking to me. Lucky me that I even had a third opportunity, right? But in each of those moments, I was scared. I was nervous. I was uncomfortable. And I was just like, well, I could face it a little bit more. I could face it a little bit more.
That facing it more, it's something that I hear so often. Well, so let me say this. A lot of times we hear, oh, it's because she lives in LA, or you guys live in California, you guys are rich, or or you have parents who are rich, and it's like, no, no, that's not my case. I don't know if that's your case. I
No,
don't
I
think that's your
wish.
case.
I
That's
wish.
not
I
the
was raised
case
by a
of
single mom.
yeah.
My husband was raised by a single mom. He grew up in the projects. My mom like has struggle bus.
Struggle bus USA. So it's not that. Have we been fortunate? What I say is I've been fortunate to have the fortitude, the strength, the courage, the bravery to step into something that is super fucking scary. That's it. And I stepped in and I kept walking because exactly what you just said. There's something inside of me that says, look, I was chosen to move this mountain and I'm going to move it. I don't know what else to do with myself. I don't. So that's it. It's just a choice you have to make. And it's always uncomfortable, but you have to continue doing it because once you start doing it, there is something. So that I want to go back to the facing it. I want to make sure that it's sort of expressed, articulated, that it comes from a place deep within us, not circumstance. It's a choice. So what do you think about that?
It is a choice. It's a choice, and you have to. For me, it's making it daily. Right now, I'm in the middle of a launch to get people to join my group coaching program. And this morning, I was like, I don't want to post on social media. I don't want to send any emails. I don't feel like marketing. And in my diverse self care plan today, I was like, you know what would be very comforting for me is if I gave myself permission not to post on social media today and not to send any emails. That would feel so comforting. But like if I really gave myself that permission, if I said myself, it's okay, you don't have to do it, even though, you still have 2 more days of your launch. You have permission. I'm not going to judge you for it. I'm not going to shame you for it. Like that would be very comforting type of vocational self-care. And then I also thought, well, growth-oriented self-care in this situation would be for me to do some thought work. and coach myself into actually deciding to show up and then writing some emails. And I was like, "Well, I don't know what I'm gonna do." Like, that's how I woke up. I wrote it down. I was like, "I don't know. Choices, choices, choices." And I was like, "But I will right now engage in some emotional self-care." And I didn't even have it in me. Like, I didn't even wanna journal. I didn't even wanna do my morning reflection pages where I, like, write down, like, "What are you gonna do today to provide yourself with pleasure, comfort? What are you gonna do today to make yourself proud?" Like, these are, like, little journal things that I do on a daily basis, and I didn't even have it in me. Like, that felt like growth. And I was like, "Well, you know what would be comforting is to color." And so I just took out my coloring book and my crayons, and I listened to music, and I was just coloring. And I just let myself color and listen to music, and I colored, like, probably for, like, 30 minutes. And then I was like, as I'm coloring, I'm thinking like, what do you wanna do, soul? Do you want to have comforting vocational self-care or growth vocational self-care? And I'm like, I don't know. And I'm just thinking and coloring and listening to music. And then after I had that moment, I was like, you know what? I am gonna pull an affirmation card. That also didn't really feel accessible to me. But I was like, I'll pull an affirmation card. And then my brain was like, well, if you're gonna do the affirmation card, you might as well do your morning reflection questions. So then I did my morning reflection questions. The next thing you know, I'm coaching myself on how I'm going to show up and how I'm going to send emails. And then after that, the next thing you know, there I am on Instagram stories inviting people to work with me. And I wrote 6 emails. But it's like it doesn't just happen. Like there's the
It's not a
there's
wand.
the resistance. And I just
Yes.
myself where I'm at.
Yeah. Todo con tiempo, as you say,
Mhm.
always todo con tiempo. You just start a little bit, persistent, consistent. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I You're someone who seems clearly has done the work, has delved into her own mind, emotions, body, mind connection. What would you say to someone who's just like, what are these two ladies over here? What are they talking about? What are they doing? Like, what would you say to that person?
Yeah, I think about that often because I think about where I was in 5 years ago in 2019. And I remember, like, on Instagram, somebody had posted, like, "This is how I plan my month on a calendar," and I unfollowed them. I was like, "Ew." I was like, "Ew, what a weirdo." And, I also on my Instagram came up like, "Oh, this is how to budget," and I was like, "Yuck." And
Unfollow.
yeah, unfollow. This algorithm's messed up. And I remember just being so, like, judgmental of that. And what I learned over time is the part of me that wants to judge others or judge or be jealous of someone. It's because I'm craving it myself, and it's because I have, like, these limiting thoughts of what's possible or not possible for me. And as somebody who grew up with ADHD, who, has had to learn to deal with, like, my PTSD, I just didn't feel like I could ever be good with money or that I could ever be somebody who could create a plan and follow it. I had those beliefs, so when I saw other people doing that, it was like I didn't know at the time that behind my judgment was my jealousy. And so I get it. And so part of what I would say to someone is like, what thoughts do you have about yourself? And what are you thinking is possible for you? And I just want you to get cute and curious with those thoughts and journal about them and put them down on paper and then be like, well, where did that belief come from? For me, I was told growing up all the time, "Oh, you're so smart, but you can't focus." Or
Mm.
you're a hot mess. You're a hot mess. You're so creative, but you're a hot mess." And I just accepted that for a long time. And I just until I was like, you know what? I have like so many years of life ahead of me. What if I just slowly, poco a poco, just work on something? It took me 8 months to learn how to budget and create a sustainable budget. 8 months. And I remember I would, like, create the budget, and then in 1 week, and I'd go over the budget, and I'd be like, "Oh, that's it. I'm not good at this." Like, perfectionism got in the way so often for me because because my perfectionism would like create this critical voice, and then I would also be filled with not enoughness. And I think that's another thing, like my personal development that I'm still so excited about, and I love just learning and growing. It's not coming from a place of I'm not good enough anymore. At one point, I did operate that way. I thought like I felt ashamed that I was so financially vulnerable. I felt ashamed that I couldn't remember to drink water and eat 3 meals a day. I felt embarrassed by how I could wash clothes but never fold them and put them away. Like these are all things that like just was really hard for me. And I just thought I wasn't good enough. And then I realized like we all are already right now, this version of ourselves is so lovable, is so, so lovable. And because I love myself, I choose to be accountable to myself and check in with myself. That's it. That's, I think, like my little diverse self care plan is just like, I love myself so much. I want to be accountable to myself.
I love it. And there's support. Tell us about the support that you offer.
Yeah, so I have a 12-month group coaching program. That's what Para Todos Academy. And then I also work with clients one-on-one. And in my group coaching program, the goal is for everybody to increase their net worth by at least $22,000 in 12 months. And they do that by learning how to engage in diverse self-care daily and staying within the wealth building cycle. It is a wonderful, amazing group. So my website is www.wealthparatodos.com. On Instagram, you could find me at Wealth Para Todos. You could find me on Wealth Para Todos on Threads. I have an email that goes out every Tuesday. It's called Todo con Tiempo Tuesdays. And that's how you could learn more tips. I talk about diverse self-care in there. I talk about the wealth building cycle, just anything to help you build wealth poco a poco.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. This is such a wonderful chat.
Thank you so much, Laura, for having me.
There you have it, friends. Who would have thought that self-care and getting comfy with money are actually so deeply connected? Turns out when we take care of ourselves first, the money stuff gets a whole lot less scary. You now have some tools, some real ones, some gentle ones, some powerful ones. And as Rita-Soledad said, get cute and curious with it, right? And as we're always saying here, get intentional. Let this be an ongoing relationship that you're building with money, that you're getting comfortable with money, right? When you choose to take care of yourself, truly, honestly, you're giving yourself a steadier place to face the things that need handling. From a place of self-love, from a place of trust, from alignment. That's what getting comfy with the uncomfortable is all about. You can do this. And you don't have to do it alone because we're here for support. Rita-Soledad is here for support. I'm here for support. Always, always. I wish us all the kind of self-care that helps us believe in abundance. And not just believe in it, but actually live it with money, with ease, with joy, and the freedom to build our Buena Vida. All right, friends. Until next time. Bye.
Get comfy with the uncomfy. That's where the magic begins.
Thank you for tuning in and spending some time with me today. And we all know the podcast spiel. If you liked what you heard, please make sure to subscribe, follow, rate, drop a little love in the reviews. It really does help, and it helps spread the word. And hey, if you know someone who needs this, any of this, in their ears right now, please share the episode with them. And if you're ready for more than just listening, ready to shift, to stretch, to step into your own Buena Vida, then let's do this, yeah? From one-to-one personalized coaching to group coaching, fun workshops, and all kinds of other little goodies, all the info is waiting for you over at my website, www.buenavida.life, or connect with me on the gram at Buena Vida Life Coach.
I'm getting comfy in the uncomfy, dancing with the night until it holds me. Breath by breath, I let it flow. Even in the dark, my light will show.
You made it to the end, and here is the very last message. You can hold the hard. You can hold the discomfort. You can hold all that and still reach for joy and still reach for good. You can be scared and still keep going. You can get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And when you don't feel like you can, come find me. Until next time, friends, keep going, keep growing, show the world who you are, and never, ever stop betting on you. Thank you for listening to Get Comfy with Laura. This episode is brought to you by me, Laura Cardona, producer, me, researcher, me, audio engineer, me, editor, me, social media, me, expert, me, giving myself credit where credit is due. For more, head over to buenavida.life. Bye!